A lot of people, men and women included, you are seen as a feminist icon. And for a lot of people, men and women included, you're seen as a complete man-hater, okay? My final question to you, as we end the session is, do you give a shit?
Well, I think I definitely don't.
Okay.
But I'm not a man-hater.
Sure.
I'm not a man-hater. In fact, I'm not sure when I became a feminist, I'm just, for me, like, I personally believe, I find it, the whole inequality and whole perception about one being inferior to the other is so bizarre for me to come to terms with, I just can't understand it. And the law of universal equality somewhere just makes me look like a because I believe in that, it makes me look like a feminist. But I mean, I honestly, I just feel that feminism is something which is it's a sorry state to be in for any society, because you're lacking something. You're lacking something, and feminism is acting as a medicine to that sort of illness or disease. We should not have it. We should not have it at all. We should not have feminists. We should not have these, sort of techniques, or we should be a healthy society. We should believe in equality, and that's how it is. And there is nothing that can prove it otherwise. So it's bizarre that people actually believe that, one section of society is lesser than the other. Yeah, so I definitely don't hate men. You are a friend for so long, and I have, I have amazing set of friends, and you'll be shocked, most of them are men.
Super. Well done, Kangana. Do we have time for questions? Yes? Couple of questions, please. At the back.
Thank you. Kangana, you have been called as one of the most fashionable icon the actresses Bollywood has got, and still you are so much vocal to your thoughts, to your views, be it any topic, be it nepotism, be it the casteism, and be it the religious fanatism. So what makes you go up with such kind of views? Is that the way that you are being like, selecting the movies which just throws a views about you that you are a feminist person, and that just depicts that you are a strong woman?
So movies are completely different. Like an individual's choices or voice should not be affected by their profession. Like, movies should not determine, or my profession should not determine my voice as an individual. I am, like, first and foremost, the citizen of this country. I'm a woman. I'm an individual. So my films should not determine, like, my career should not determine if I'm an engineer or doctor or an actor. It should not determine what I feel about this current, state of events, or myself, my past, my present. It should be a free voice, free as in free of all the baggage. That's what I try. And my films, whatever I do, my first interview that went completely viral and still the most watched interview is pre-Queen with in 2013 with Anupama Chopra. So I always had, and I made sure that no matter if I'm a successful actor or not so successful, but I want to be a successful human being. I want to be a successful person, and that's my profession is not going to determine that.
And just one more, Kangana, there is a huge number of trawlers these days who just go on trawling and just go to any limits. So do you just, does this affect your work and affect your choice of films?
Trolls.
Yeah, trawlers who just go up in the social media
No, I'm not on social media, and I definitely don't go through all the trolling that I might be getting.
Do you secretly go though to check what people are saying online?
No.
Come on.
No, it's
come on.
very upsetting. It's very upsetting. Sometimes I get these feedback from my digital team. Some of them is so upsetting, it can scar you for life. You don't want to go through that. Thank you.
फिल्म पूरी जिसमें फिल्म के जो डायलॉग्स हैं वो बहुत अच्छे हैं. मैं चाहूँगा कि आपका पसंदीदा डायलॉग कौन सा है और क्यों?
मेरा पसंदीदा डायलॉग वैसे तो काफ़ी हैं, लेकिन मुझे सबसे अच्छा वो लगता है कि जब प्रफुल्ल उसे कहती है कि किसी को जानना चाहिए, पहचानना चाहिए, तो कहता है इंसान को कभी अच्छे से समझा नहीं जा सकता, बदलते रहना ही इंसान की फितरत है. रिश्तों को समझा नहीं, सिर्फ निभाया जाता है. सो आई हैव रिटन दोज लाइन्स एंड आई रियली लाइक इट.
कंगना आपके सामने 18 सितंबर को शबाना आजमी जी का जन्मदिन है, तो कुछ विश करना चाहेंगे उनको?
अरे यार,
बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं उनको जन्मदिन की.
आप कभी उनको फॉलो?
या गाइस,
क्या चीज? ये तो यहाँ पे ओपन ट्रोलिंग हो गई.
कंगना, आपने कभी उनको फॉलो किया है?
किसको?
शबाना आजमी जी.
मैं हुई नहीं ट्विटर पे.
हाँ. ऐसे पर्सनल लाइफ में एक्टिंग.
Let's ask genuine questions. It's turning into a press conference from delegates, from people who come for the cinema summit. Yeah, sure.
Kangana, we saw Simran today. Very nice movie, great work. Okay, gangster की बात की आपने कहा बहुत ही ज़्यादा मेहनत की थी आपने. But आदित्य पंचोली का कहना है कि उनकी वजह से आपको ये फिल्म मिली. कुछ कहना चाहिए?
I think we have spoken enough about it, and there is nothing that I can only repeat. Things here, so you can Google it and find out.
We were told before the session started that Kangana will be dropping quite a few bombs: N-bomb, H-bomb, A-bomb. You know, quite a few them. I'm glad we stuck to the future of the heroine, which is the overall summit theme, which is the future of film.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you everyone.
Thank you very much, Kangana. It's a big day for you, and I hope you do really well. Thank you. Cheers. I will check it out in the evening. Thank you. That comes to Mumbai on September 18th. Guys, please register for the festival. It's on from 18th to 24th. Coming back to the summit though, I could not think of anyone better than the lady in the house to kickstart this, for a couple of reasons. One is that you're, of course, the present of heroine, and of course, we'll look at the future of the heroine. But as an actor, you've actually looked very closely at also the history of the heroine. Your last role, Kangana, as Julia, was a Bollywood star of the 1940s. While researching for that character, what did you come across in terms of finding the position of the role of the women in the film industry, in the Mumbai film industry in the 1940s? What was it like then?
First of all, thank you, Mayank sir. Thank you for inviting me for this. It's extremely prestigious platform to be at, and to have Shekhar sir here. He's a very dear friend, and my favorite filmmaker. It's been a wonderful day so far. So yeah, coming to Julia, to my surprise, when I was doing my research on that character, I was taken aback that there was a lot more acceptance for you know, a feisty character, like a woman fighter, like a woman stunt, you know, and she was one big woman, used to wear shorts and carry two men on her shoulders and ride a horse, and a stunt woman in those days, and people were okay with that. People were okay with, you know, that sort of acceptance of a woman's, you know, like a fierce persona. And I think we just, instead of going upwards from that, our cinema and the perception of women somewhere started to descend. And where we are today, you know, action is pretty much just to, you know, delve into the beautiful physical appearance of a woman, or to make them look sexy, or but that was serious action. Like Julia, the character was inspired from, you know, was from many stunt women in those days who did their own action, and they were not like, it wasn't a comedy that they were beating up men in their like serious action films. They were the saviors, they were the superheroes, they were the women who were in love stories were saving the men they were in love with, and they were all serious films, they were not comedies. So I think somewhere, you know, that growth didn't go into the right direction. Of course, Julia's story, her personal life was a reflection of how women has been, you know, in the past, and her need to have a surname, and her need to have a social security, you know, in terms of acceptance of a man and a lover. I think that's quite prevalent even today. So yeah, that's what I learned from that character.
But you know, Kangana, the fact is also that if you go back in history, the first heroine in Hindi cinema, or Indian cinema as it were, was actually a man. Anna Salunke was a man who played the first heroine in Raja Harishchandra, the first Indian film. Now, back then, and you need to tell me a little bit about the 40s because you would have researched that part of the history, people from respectable families, so to say, did not send their daughters to work in cinema. Do you think that's changed a lot?
Of course. I think in those days, I think women were very protected. I mean, according to the feudal mindset, protected means confine them to the four wall of the house, or the veil, or you know, other sort of the physical layers of maybe clothing, or you know, culture, but not the real protection that I'm talking about. So yeah, I think women were confined to very strict, especially the ones who came from so-called, you know, good families and good backgrounds. So that's true that that, you know, there was a certain section, and it was not considered, even in my family, when I was pursuing acting, it was not looked at something which is respectable, or what I depicted, you know, in the film, in terms of, I remember my mom telling me that, I asked her, I said, how did you like Gangster? And she's like, I loved it, but your dad is not very happy. And I'm like, why is he not happy about it? He's like, maybe there's a lot of, you know, like, so depiction of passion or backlash. So it was very upsetting for my family. But I remember Shekhar sir coming, and on Metro set, he told me how beautifully he expressed his you know, almost awe for the shot that I remember where my gun was on my head, and Shekhar sir said that the most beautiful thing that I've seen, that the emotion from fear to acceptance, you know, is so beautiful, Kangana, and at this young age you depicted that is so beautiful. And I'm like, you know, I mean, my family would never feel that way for me ever, you know, because all they see is that there was a backless shot in the film. So yeah, I think that it's difficult to rise above that mentality. It's difficult being a woman or an actress to you know, to rise above the sexuality. I mean, as much we would want to be you know, an ideal world and all of that, but it
Sure.
does, you know, delve in our minds.
Right. But if there was a young girl in a village in Himachal right now, in 2017, how difficult or how easy would it be for that person to come to Bombay and make it movies? Would you be that inspiration for that person? Would you personally advise that person to do it? Or would they be actually scared of a lot of the stories that you've actually revealed in the past few weeks in terms of what you went through?
Yeah, see, Mayank sir, this is a conscious effort that I make to tell the brighter side and the darker side, you know, because I don't want to give a very hunky-dory picture of my life. It's very easy to portray a fairy tale and to make yourself the center of the world and to portray yourself larger than life and almost the God's favorite child. It's very heartbreaking to actually put the real picture out there and be like, you know, I don't know if I've been really lucky or really unfortunate, but that is your depiction or your perspective, but this is how it is. And if tomorrow you want to walk the same path, know that you might or might not make it. So it's good to have that approach, because I really don't have any method to my journey. I don't know if, you know, like it's hard to tell how exactly I made it. You know, people sometimes ask me that, where did you get so much strength from? It's not just strength. Sometimes, you know, there were incidences that I don't know how I just made it through those, you know, series of events. So I can just, in my place, I can just be very honest and mentally prepare everyone that this is how it is. It's as magical as you know, it can get, but at the same time, I think magic comes with its little bit price tag, which is sometimes you might not want to pay. So yeah, this is how it is for me, at least.
And you were the extreme outsider, as it were. And since we're looking at also the past of the heroine while discussing the future, and you've spoken a lot in the past also about star system and the dynasty that follows. But the fact is, when you talk about dynasties, I'm not using the N word, I haven't yet. When you talk about dynasties, the lineage has traditionally in Bollywood been between the father and the son. So the father is a producer, the son could be a star. The father is a star, the son could be a producer. For decades on end, and up until a couple of decades ago, or perhaps a decade ago, people from film families did not send their daughters or their wives to work in the movies. One, what does that mean in terms of why do you think that was the case? Because all the heroines mostly have been outsiders in that sense. Why do you think they chose not to do it?
It's something very hurtful, and it's something very, if I say in a very upfront way, it might just made very severe headlines. So I try and be
Go for it, Kangana.
I try and be as, I'd say as soft I can be. But I think it comes from the deep-rooted patriarchal mindset where, you know, the way one treats a woman and the way one sees a woman, you know, it reflects in his relationship with his daughter or his wife. And, you know, like in the world of glamour and the world of opportunities, we all know that, you know, being in this, you know, amazing, it's almost like a fantasy land. It's almost like you know, to be in a film business or to be in any show business for that matter is, you know, it's full of magic, it's full of epiphanies, it's full of creativity, neurotic artists and opportunities, and above everything, it's full of that magic which overnight changes everything and makes life, you know, turns ordinary into extraordinary, extraordinary into fantastic, and fantastic into tragic. You know, it has that extraordinary power to it. So yes, it's a land of opportunities, and you meet people, and you have these endless opportunities. But when we see a man do that, we don't find anything wrong in this. You know, to have multiple sort of, you know, opportunities, to be a millionaire, have multiple mating partners, and you know, so just go about living your life like a maverick. But when it comes to a woman, you know, there's a strong sense of guilt that comes along with it. You know, for a man, it's unbelievable, you know, that how a man perceives his own, you know, sexual life and the woman that you know, maybe he's dating or are, you know, I think it's always assumed that sex for a woman is actually something something of you know, a kind of tragic for them, right? So I think, is there a brawl outside? Okay. Sorry, I got distracted. So I think I know a lot of people who, you know, who are being very protective of their women, and it's all about keeping them away from you know, a lot of you know, a lot of men or opportunities or glamour, because why? They're going to get swayed with it, they're going to have affairs, and men are going to treat them badly. Basically, men are going to have sex with them. So having sex for a man is something which is about having fun and living a good life, but for a woman, it's something which is, you know, like doing some sort of, you know, like a bad thing to them. So that is how a man perceives, you know, the life in glamour world. They openly say this, you know, that when it's an affair of their son, you will hear so many men brag about it, you know, that my son is this, you know, is this
the
Casanova, and what will he do in his youth, you know, and if not have these multiple affairs. They openly talk about it, but when it comes to their girls, you know, there are restrictions, and they flaunt that. How dare my girl is going to date anyone? How dare my girl is getting into films, and people are going to see her wear mini skirts? And these are these petty reasons. I mean, I wouldn't want to, I wish it was anything else, but these are the petty reasons, that my girl is going to wear bikini, but I don't mind having 15 bikini-clad women around me, or my son. It's as petty as it is. I mean, it sounds stupid, but you can have so many, you know, like you would know, there's so many examples of that, and they're quite open about it, and they feel it's very manly to have these kind of values, not really values, but these sort of feudal ideologies, and to flaunt it like that. And it's making our society even more regressive, even more feudal and chauvinistic, you know, these sort of, and it does stem out of it, that, you know, like a great family of, you know, like this film business, son will make, and this happens in many smaller industries as well. It's a common fact that, I don't want to name superstars because I'm not sure, but someone's daughter decided to be an actress, and fans committed suicide. Fans committed suicide. And the son is, of course, is the reigning superstar, but the daughter decided.
Fans committing suicide would have to be south of India, no?
Yes, south of India. Sure. Yeah. So they committed suicide, that the daughter of the house will wear a mini skirt. How would that happen, and how is that even possible? So this is the psyche of our you know, culture, and this is how the masses. This is what a woman is, just an object. And it's very unfortunate that, you know, there is, that's all, you know.
But you see that changing though, because from like the early 2000s onwards, you do see a lot of women from film families actually entering films. And so do you think the film industry has changed? Do you think the psyche of those families have changed? What do you think has led to that change?
Well, I think most probably the society in itself, you know. I think initially, to begin with, our cinema was extremely premature, and the way, exactly, you know, the way the industry was, it wasn't, you know, this sort of you know, flourishing business proposition. But how it became, I think, more progressive, more people decided to, you know, sort of get into it, and that's how films have come a long way, right? They have come from being very primitive to fairly, you know, I'll say we are not yet there, and I'm not sure if we will ever be, but yeah, but we have come.
You mean less shady people in the films?
Sorry?
Less shady people in the movies also?
Well, see, also film business has many levels to it, right? Like there are all kind of cinemas. Right. There are, so I can't really guarantee that. Sure. But it's definitely, I don't think, like, you know, it's definitely a business where a lot of people, educated people, and yeah, and the ones who are, you know, who are sort of, who understand the business for what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the other diktat when it comes to the heroine in Bollywood, Kangana, has always been that marriage was always seen as a retirement plan. The reason you get married is because you're done with show business, because that's a one-way street. And of course, a lot of them actually made comebacks much later, but a lot of water had flown under the bridge. Do you see that? Because in fact, you yourself, at some level, have been a huge beneficiary of that. Your first film, Gangster, Chitrangada Singh was supposed to play that part right until the end. Then she gets married. Then the husband says, you will not work in movies. So there's a slot ready. You have a week to go. You get a passport, and you get your debut film. You've actually benefited from that. Do you think that tag of being a married person and therefore losing out on so-called fan base, because this was also true for male stars back in the day. Govinda hid the fact that he was married. I think even Amar hid the fact that he was married when he entered films. Do you think that's finally going, though? And it's about the artist?
Of course. I think a lot has changed, from those days where people really cared about someone's marital status or, someone's age. A lot has changed for that matter. So, yeah, I don't think it's of any consequence anymore. But there is definitely a section of the society who is, who do, like an older woman is always, referred to as this, like there's always mocking women for being older, and when you're young, you're mocked for being young.
Sure.
So that's there, but it has definitely changed, and we can see the change around us. But I think just for last few years, 4-5 years, and before that, I think many women were just forced to leave the industry, even though they looked the same, even though there was no change in their appearance, but they were just not accepted anymore.
Right, because earlier in the year, I think it was around January, you announced that you're going to get married this year. It's what, 2 months or 3 months left? Yeah. Like, will you be getting invitation cards soon?
Yeah, most definitely.
Really? You actually getting married in the next 3 months?
Well, we'll talk about that at some other time.
We'll talk about your career, Kangana. We started with Gangster, of course. But I have an interesting story with regards to you. And this is, I think, 2012. You'd invited me to your birthday party. I don't know if you remember. This was in...
Of course, I remember.
In Olive, in Bandra. Very sober affair, very nicely done, friends, some media people. And it was what you would call a small birthday party, as birthday parties should be. Then 2014, Queen happens. Thank you for not inviting me to your birthday party that year. But I saw the pictures, and absolutely the entire Bollywood A-list was lined up outside your house, Amitabh Bachchan onwards. That's how things turn in show business. What does something like that teach you about the world in general and show business in particular?
Like I said, Mayank, there is a fantastic quality to this world, when especially the field of art. It can make you, these extreme circumstances sometimes can make you a bit, it's a bit unsettling,
sure.
To go from one extreme to the other, and once if you've sort of tasted that sort of shift, it's very hard to come back to the ordinariness of life,
Right.
So that's true, and I don't know if I am a recipient of that sort of, magic and that sort of, shift, or I am a victim of it. Because you never know, because sometimes it just feels that it hits you so suddenly that you're just never ready for it.
Right.
So whether it's long, never-ending struggle, and then the extreme success of being in a film which has, in a way, changed a lot of things in the industry, not just in your life. So yeah, these kind of extreme circumstances can be very hard to deal with.
Can fame be a drug, though? Something that you would crave if you didn't find it?
Well, to my surprise, what happens is when success, success often, comes when you stop to hope for it.
Really?
Or you don't, yeah. When you're not anticipating it, and it hits you like something has, hit you in your head, and very hard to come to terms with it.
Right.
And the initial reaction is of rejection. You don't want to accept it because you don't know what to do with it. And by the time you get used to it, it's gone.
No, what is fascinating about you, Kangana, is that you finish a film like Queen, and the first thing you do is apply for a student's visa. and then you moved to the US to study screenwriting
Yeah.
in New York. Why would you do that? I have two, possible multiple choice answers for you. One, is it the fact that your career will be much longer regardless of what roles you get if you're a filmmaker, because you can continue to express yourself and not wait for someone to offer you a role. Or second, you actually wanted to collaborate in the process itself while being an actor and to actually learn the craft.
I think both are the same things,
Sure.
aren't they? Like, yeah, I wanted to be more collaborative because, you know, being in Queen and to have that kind of freedom. Also, Queen came from a very pure space because Vikas sir had not directed any film before, and Phantom's first film is, you know, like new production house. So they did, like I said, you know, they were not thirsty or hungry for success. They were making a film like
For the right
doesn't-
reasons.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter whatever the fate of the film is. So the kind of lightness and the kind of environment I collaborated in, I got addicted to it, you know,
Right.
and I felt, hi Vic. So, and I felt, you know, like I should know the technicalities of this world because I felt a bit amateur, you know,
Sure.
to be among professionals and wanted to express myself, and I had no accurate words, or I could not place my thoughts properly because I didn't have any formal education. So that's why I did that.
And did you overlearn at some point where people are like, hey, like, don't teach me, I know my filmmaking? Is that happening to you?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's there are no rules.
Sure.
You know, when you go to a set, it can become, everyone's very vulnerable. Why? Because we know that no matter how good a script is, it can always be a trashy film. And no matter how trashy a film is, it can always be a blockbuster. And no matter how big a blockbuster it is, it might just be the most embarrassing film of the year. So, you know, there is a lot of uncertainty that comes with
Right.
this business. And for anyone to say that, hey, I know everything, is an idiot around, you know. And all you can do is just be tentative. And in that tentative environment, to find your ground and to just know whether into which direction to go, it takes a lot of faith in each other.
Right.
And that's exactly what people lack when they're nervous. You know, and it can, this business is such, it can be very demanding, and when you're nervous, you don't have faith in yourself, forget having faith in anyone else. So I think it is very hard. It's very hard to collaborate. And like I said, there's no formula to it. If we were making cars or packing water or doing anything else, like I would say that, oh, hey, this is how it's done and this is how it's been happening for past these many years, and this is the formula if you're making a drug, you know. But to this, there's no formula. So, and also everyone is waiting for that something to happen, you know, that some sort of magic, some sort of blessing to fall from somewhere, and you don't know from who it'll come from, you know. So there is always that search of that sort of, you know, epiphany. Sometimes it is bestowed upon you, and sometimes it's not, and you don't know why it happens and why it doesn't. So it's a weird world to be in.
But can being the sole female protagonist be a formula? Is it true that you've turned down various roles because you're not the sole female protagonist, or sole protagonist as it were, in the film? Is it true about Sultan, for instance, that you said no because that was a Salman Khan film? Is it true, and this has been reported, you'll have to confirm this or deny, of course, that you said no to Thugs of Hindustan that stars Amir Khan and Amitabh Bachchan? Now, a film like, say, for instance, Sultan, that's going to travel a wide distance. You will be viewed by a lot more people. Why would you not take that as an opportunity?
Well, see, what happens is, no, in today's time, I am going to go for something which is going to stimulate my mind, you know, because otherwise I am going to be just sleepwalking through the film. You know, like I said, like Sultan at that point of time, though it was a great character for a girl to play, but I did not see, you know, anything for me in that. And coming from like a double role space and doing so much more in my earlier films, I felt, why would I demote myself to, you know, something which is not offering me so much? So that's why I didn't do it. And Thugs, no, I was never offered. I don't even know what the script is.
Like, speaking of your double role, Kangana, thank you very much for Tanu Weds Manu too. We were going through exactly how you approach a character And in one of the interviews you've said that what you do is you look at the person in terms of the character that you play, and you give that person one characteristic trait, one word, and that's how you move forward. And so Datto was supposed to be from Tanu Weds Manu, 2 was supposed to be swag, Julia was supposed to be needy.
Needy, yeah.
You're a character yourself. If you were to describe yourself in one word, what would that be?
Oh my God. One word. Well, brave.
Nice. Well done. I mean, you would have to be brave, Kangana. The past few weeks, you've been on a serious Rani of Jhansi mode from all the interviews that we've watched of yours. And that's your next film. That's the movie that you're currently working on. How's that coming along? You got hurt on the sets as well?
Oh yeah, I had a big cut on my head. I almost lost my eyes. Thank you, Nihar Pandey, who missed his cue and hit me on the wrong cue. And he keeps telling me, do you think I did it on purpose? I said, I don't know. I really don't. And he's like, you're mean. So these things happen. But yeah, I got saved, and I'm very happy about that. And also, that character... Yes, I think somewhere a character that you play, it does affect you and your life and the way you think. You know, what a character can expose. You know, you like. I remember when I played a cancer patient, I was suddenly exposed to my own mortality as a human being. Yeah. Yes. As a human being, and since then I've never been the same. So a character can be extremely cathartic for you as well. So with Jhansi Ki Rani, and how fearlessly a 28-year-old just set herself on fire for a cause. There is something so amazing about it that is infectious. That it does make you feel so small. That what you worry about. Like these small comforts, these small luxuries, these small achievements that you have to your credit. You're so possessive of it, and people have let go of so much for the bigger picture. It does affect you as an individual, and you do feel that like I'm a different person now. So yeah, I do feel like this character has shown me a side of me which I needed to at this point of time.
So you are on the Rani of Jhansi mode. I wasn't too wrong. But it's not the first time you've been this brave, Kangana. I was actually watching an interview of yours where you casually mentioned that you were shooting for a film, Revolver Rani, and that you were held at gunpoint. And then there was some other question asked. I'm sorry, but it's not very common for people to be going on shoots and being actually held at gunpoint. What was that story?
Oh yeah, so we were in Chambal, which is famous for rebels, and so we were shooting there for 3-4 days, and there were some drunk people who came and they had guns and all. They put gun on Kabir's head, my director's head, that get your actress out. We want to click a picture with her. So, and I was in the car behind him. So there was this some sort of checking point or something. So, and I'm getting really restless. I'm like, why these cars have stopped suddenly and we are behind them? We can't go ahead. And we had to go to Gwalior. We used to drive every night to Gwalior. So I said, Kabir has stopped. I thought maybe some friends of his, because he's from Gwalior and he had some. So they're not moving only. And Kabir came out and he started to fight. So he called his cop friends, and I'm like, what is going on? Let me go.